What's up, everybody? Happy Friday, and welcome to another episode of Granny's Peach Tea. We're here waiting for heroes, apparently. Thanks for joining us wherever you are, wherever it may come from. Trying to get that to stop. That's stopping now. All right, so welcome, Granny's Peach Tea, episode 21. We are officially of legal drinking age now. We've made it. Yes, thanks for joining us, whether it's on Facebook feed or if it's on YouTube or if it's on Twitter through Periscope. You're joining us on Instagram or wherever it is, or audio-only version on your podcast. Thank you. We always appreciate it. With me, as always, is Jason. Jason, what's up, dude? Jason is frozen right on the what's up, dude. We are having all kinds of technical problems this evening. Once Jason gets back in there, we'll get him going. I hope everyone is enjoying their weeks out there. Nice summertime groove going. We got a lot to talk about tonight. You know, we have a lot of. There he goes. Now he's back.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Not a problem. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about tonight. You know, we got a full week of CW verse out there. We've got a big episode of Loki to talk about. We got some trailers that dropped this week, and we are going to go back to a fun time of 1986, and we're going to talk about a Marvel gem that some people around here own on Blu-ray.
This guy right here, baby.
I'm sorry, this guy right over there. And Tim, apparently. I don't know what the hell's going on here. I don't know what's going on. The world is getting crazier out there. Howard the Duck. So we'll get into that wackiness, and we'll see if Tony will be joining us at some point this evening. But there's boss Faraci. Yo, what is up? Ed, and wow, you used your full name. That's impressive.
Wow. Thank you.
That's very proper of Faraci.
I appreciate that. We could be a bit more formal, boss man.
Wow,
a bit more informal, rather.
Yeah, that's impressive right there, man. So Jason, what's up, dude? How was your week?
It was good. You know, we're winding down into the summer because, you know, I teach high school. I think I've said that before on the show. And so I got one more week to the summer. So it was a good week. You know, started a little atonement. I just want to, you know, we might do a little semi-recurring segment called Unhassling the Hoff, because I felt terrible about hassling the Hoff last week. So I started going back to something that the man gets hassled about a lot, Baywatch Nights. I actually watched the first episode of Baywatch Nights. I'm going to tell you, it's not as bad as people say it is. It starts out, it's a 90s detective thing. You know, they were big, but it's like, it wasn't the worst 90s detective thing I've ever seen. It was entertaining. He's very charming. He's very good in it, right? So this is me unhassling the Hoff. And it starts out perfectly because it starts out with him addressing the camera like, hey, you know me, I'm from Baywatch. And you might be asking yourself, what do I, as a lifeguard, know about being a PI? Well, my best friend just bought a firm and I went into business. Baywatch Nights. I mean, literally, I've only added the Baywatch Nights. That's how it starts. So I'm happy with the rewatch. Every time I see something interesting that's worth mentioning on the show, I'll bring it in. But I just want everyone at home to know that I am atoning for hassling the Hoff last week.
Oh man, this is actually going to be pretty interesting. I'm curious to see where this goes. I oddly have questions about Baywatch Nights. I don't know if you can answer them yet. So was Mitch Buchanan like doing this? These are what he was doing at night while he was being a lifeguard, like in the daytime. So these like run accordingly.
Yeah, pretty theoretically, yes. Like, so he falls into this because he's like on the beach, right? He's on the boardwalk. I guess he's coming from work. He's not in uniform. And like there's a model shoot going on and he's talking to some locals and he's hitting on the model and the model gets harassed right in front of him. But like this is over the top sleazeball. Like he literally has just a grease in his black hair put back and the leather jacket. I mean, it's very cliche, but so like that's how Mitch falls into this. But also like he's putting daytime hours in. Like he comes to the PI office during the day and does like filing and stuff. So it's like I guess he does it on his days off. They don't really go into the logistics of his schedule yet, but maybe as I go forward, I could figure it out.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually curious to know the answers to these questions. These are legitimate questions I have for someone who did not watch Baywatch or Baywatch Nights.
Look, just please take the questions down because again, this is 2 seasons. I made a quip saying this was 6 episodes. This is 2 full seasons it ran, and I'm going to do the whole thing over the course of the summer. I guess I'll give myself the summer, maybe longer than the summer. I can't binge watch it. That's. But yeah, so get your questions down because by the end of my atonement, I will be the expert on Baywatch Nights. Having only seen 2 episodes of Baywatch.
Season? How many episodes are in the season?
It's a full complement. Like we're talking like a 24 episode season, I believe.
Sweet baby Jesus. Okay. Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, best of luck to you with that. I was thinking about the Hoff this week, right? So I'm thinking about one guy who, like, I don't know if he hassled the Hoff, right? So we all know that, like, The Rock is the guy you bring into your franchise to kind of, like, reinvigorate it and bring it back to life and things like that. So if you remember a couple of years ago, he was the star. He was Mitch Buchanan in the Baywatch movie. That was played for laughs. It was a comedy, kind of like in the ilk of the Jump Street movies, which I absolutely adore the Jump Street movies. Yeah, those things are absolutely hilarious. Did you see the second one? Did you see 22 Jump Street?
No, I haven't.
You absolutely should. It's as good, if not better, than 21 Jump Street. And that's not a lot of sequels can pull that off.
Wow.
It's just really smart, man. But like Baywatch tried to go that same route and it just fell flat. I think it wasn't very good.
Yeah. And I remember seeing it and being underwhelmed. I didn't hate it, but I was just like, oh, this could have been better.
So you got to think about it. There's one time, so The Rock takes that franchise, is Mitch Buchanan, and tries to reinvigorate that, and that's the one that fails. So
what that tells us
about that.
What that tells us is not even The Rock, who is maybe the most charming man on the planet, not even The Rock could match the power, the raw intensity of Hasselhoff. He's irreplaceable. This is why that's why we have no new Knight Rider. This is why we're not rebooting Baywatch and it didn't work in the films. This is why we're not getting a spin-off of Baywatch Nights because it only works with the Hoff. He's irreplaceable.
Yeah, it's kind of astonishing that this is like a thing. Like I didn't think about that last week. I'm like, wow, that's the one time The Rock failed trying to replace the Hoff. So
can't do it.
Yeah, completely impossible apparently. So all right, before we move on here, we got another comment from Farachi about the laugh my ass off. I'm as informed as they can. Facebook decides to tag you. By the way, you not having WhatsApp caused me to add my former boss to the group.
Sorry.
Ouch.
Sorry. I said I would accept the WhatsApp, but my question to Eddie was then, what is WhatsApp? So I guess that's why it just didn't work. Sorry about that, boss man.
I didn't have a great answer for that either. So what is WhatsApp? But we're not going to get into WhatsApp right now. But what we are going to get into is a couple of trailers that dropped recently. We just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about. So I think it was just yesterday we had a teaser trailer drop for Titans Season 3. And the things that they teased right there are a whole lot of the Under the Red Hood storyline, death in the family, that type of thing, just death of Jason Todd in a live action form, which is something we haven't got. I mean, there was a hint at it in BVS, but not really too much diving past that. Jason, you just checked it out like right before we went on live. What did you think?
Oh, it's exciting. I mean, I loved the first 2 seasons of Titans, as I said in my last catching up with Mr. J. It's like it's there's so much Batman stuff in there for me that like it's perfect. And as soon as I saw the amusement park, I was like, oh my God, we're getting the Joker. And then they obviously that's what they're teasing. And then I click over to Eddie and I go, because we were actually on this while I was watching it. And I went, wait a minute, are we going to see the Joker kill Jason Todd? And I'm like, that we might actually see it. And I don't know, for anyone who's ever read that comic, it's a brutal death if they're going with the comic book death. In the comic, he beats that kid to a bloody pulp with a crowbar.
Yeah. So
I'm curious if that's the route they're going. And if so, I mean, I'm excited, but I'm also sad because I actually really like this characterization of Jason Todd. And so if they're killing him,
Oh, killing
I'd be
him.
sad, like killing him, yeah. But I'm sure season 4 would be where he comes back as Red Hood. But I mean,
no, I think that's happening like all in one season because they showed the Red Hood in there also. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's all going to happen in one season, or they might allude to the fact that maybe the death of Jason Todd happened in between seasons or something. I'm not really sure how they're going to handle it, but yeah, when that season drops, we'll definitely be covering it here on Granny's Peach Tea, and and doing deep dives into that into every episode every week. Another trailer that had dropped was Stargirl for their season 2, which is a show we'll be covering when they debut in August. I mean, I really liked season 1. The trailer for season 2 looks pretty cool. I mean, we get Green Lantern's daughter apparently in this trailer too, which is pretty wild as well. And I know you just wrapped up. On your catching up with Mr. J. Apparently, we'll fuse the two together. But tell us what your thoughts are with Stargirl, and now you saw a trailer for season 2.
Yeah, I mean, so my thoughts on season 1, I loved it. I actually asked Eddie today. I was like, was this a comic book? Because I'd never heard of any of this. I mean, I knew the JSA and the ISA, but they're like Golden Age comics, right? Like, so I never really, I don't go that far back. I only go that far back for Batman, into the 30s. But so I didn't know any of them, but I thought season 1 was wonderful. I mean, it gives you such a great psychological breakdown of the villains and the heroes, and there's so much there are so many smart adult things going on in a show where your heroes are predominantly children. I thought the casting was great. I love Luke Wilson. I love the girl who plays Courtney. I thought the guy who played Brainwave was brilliant. I love the guy who played Icicle. Like, the Gambler, of course, is my favorite. I'm glad that he survived the season because I want to see the Gambler again. And yeah, so I'm excited for season 2, and season 2 looks good. It looks like it's kept the quality and the budget. It doesn't look CW-ified, which, because CW shows tend to have a feel about them, which Stargirl does not, which I think is a good choice. And yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. I mean, I don't know who any of these characters are, but I'm excited for the ride.
Yeah, no, and that's what I was kind of digging about the first season. I didn't know much about it, but I figured let me check it out. And yeah, I really had a lot of fun with Stargirl, and Luke Wilson, and it is pretty damn awesome.
Yeah, he is. Pat, he's such a put upon guy in the beginning of the series. Like, everyone kind of just dumps on him, and he's just like, okay, I'm good natured Pat. I'm gonna go fix a car and build Stripe. Like, yeah,
and then he builds a damn Stripe, and you're like, holy shit.
There's a funny scene though that I clocked in the first episode. It's the first scene when the JSA gets wiped out, where Joel McHale, who I love that Joel McHale is the original Starman. I love that they kind of hint that he's coming back, right? Mm-hmm. But I love when he gives the staff to Stripes, and he's like, "Take this, and one day it'll find a hero, but not you." Yeah. And I think he says it twice, and I was like, is that going to come back? Like, he's like on his deathbed? Not you, not you, goddammit. Exactly.
Oh man, yeah, they really give Pat a lot of shit early on in it, but
they do.
He definitely is like a hero towards the end.
But if you're not at least tearing up at the end between like the relationship that he builds with Courtney. You know what I'm saying? Like, then you have no heart, because there are some moments at the end where I think it's just downright beautiful.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The show's got a lot of heart to it too, and it's not like a cheesy way. Like it's like everything seems to be pretty earned.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, by the time you get to her accepting Pat as her dad. Mm-hmm. Which spoilers, but I mean, of course, that's where it was going. I mean, we've all watched TV. It's earned because of the steps she takes on her journey, both personally and as Stargirl. When that happens, it's like, yes, that's exactly what would happen in real life. So I agree, earned 100%.
So the other trailer I think we wanted to talk about briefly was one that it didn't release. It released last week, but we didn't get a chance to really dive into too much. Was the Kevin Smith produced Masters of the Universe Revelations, which is going to be on Netflix. It's dropping late July. That trailer had me pretty damn hyped up. I mean, when I was a kid, I was like all about Masters of the Universe and had all the fucking He-Man action figures and all of that shit. And I was like, holy shit. And the fact that this even picks up right after, apparently, I don't remember when the hell the damn series ended, but I'm sure they'll have a refresher. And this picks up, and it's like in an anime form, which looks pretty cool also. I'm digging the artwork.
Yeah, I really liked it. Again, I didn't even know it existed until you told me just now, and I watched it. And I'm not a huge cartoon guy, as I've said when we covered Invincible. But this looks exciting. And when you told me Mark Hamill's the Joker, that's awesome.
No, Skeletor.
I meant, duh. Of course, well, we all know. Well, Mark Hamill is the Joker.
Yeah, he is. He absolutely is.
Mark Hamill, my bad. Mark Hamill is Skeletor, which I think is exciting because I think he's a great voice actor. I think you're right. The animation looks great. And I over the quarantine, I bought the entire Masters of the Universe old series on DVD.
Oh, wow.
And I watched a bunch of them. So I guess since we're going to be covering this on the show, I'm going to have to catch up on the old Masters of the Universe. So it'll give me an excuse to finish off the run because I couldn't. It's a hard show to binge as an adult.
Oh, I'm sure it is. Are you actually going to go with the spinoff of She-Ra also?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. I gotta see. I gotta see. Let's see how I feel after. I'll definitely watch the He-Man and She-Ra crossover Christmas special where Skeletor helps save Christmas. I'll definitely watch that.
I do remember
that. it's a great episode. But we'll see how I feel at the end of the Masters of the Universe, because that might be a tough one. That might be the toughest catch-up I have done to date. We'll do to date.
So taking a look at the cast, by the way, of Masters of the Universe Revelation. So Chris Wood is voicing He-Man. Mark Hamill is Skeletor. Harley Quinn Smith is Lena.
Of course, her dad's doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Lena Headey from Game of Thrones and we covered Dredd a couple of weeks ago is Evil Lynn.
Oh, okay.
Which is absolutely perfect.
That's awesome.
Sarah Michelle Gellar is Tila.
What?
Yeah.
You realize all you had to get me to watch this was Mark Hamill and Sarah Michelle Gellar, because I'm a big Buffy fan from way back in the day, and I will watch your alley. I will watch anything that she appears. I saw all of that terrible show with her and Robin Williams just because she was in it.
Oh, there's more coming. Alicia Silverstone is Queen Marlena.
That's right.
Justin Long is Roboto. Kevin Conroy is Merman.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yeah. Philip Lamar is Hero. And Jason Mewes, of course, is Stinkor. Because Kevin Smith had to get Mewes in there.
Of course. But you know what, though? What a perfect character for Mewes.
Of course, it's perfect. Dietrich Bader is Trapjaw.
Of course. And again, he's a Kevin Smith guy, but that's a great casting.
Tony Todd is Scareglow.
Get out of here, Tony Todd.
Henry Rollins is Triclops.
Oh my God, this cast is amazing.
Liam Cunningham of Game of Thrones is Man at Arms.
Oh, nice.
And Stephen Root is Cringer. How priceless is that cast?
When does this drop? I'm excited.
It's like July 26th to 28th or something like that.
Right. I'm excited for this.
So yeah, that's something we'll cover here on Granny's Peach Tea. We'll probably give it a week or two, kind of like we did with MODOK last week, and let everyone have a chance to watch the season. Plus, we need time to watch the season, and then we'll share our thoughts on Masters of the Universe Revelations. But shows that are on right now, we're going to get things kicked off with CW Verse, DC's Legends of Tomorrow, Season 6, Episode 6. Jason, what do you got here for us? What do you think of this episode?
All right. I like this episode. I thought this was a good episode. It was a good plot episode to, the trajectory of where they're going for the season. I thought it was a lot of fun. I take notes on this one, and my notes are, and I didn't mean to, but my notes are bookmarked, right? Like bookended. So the first quote note is Bishop is a clone! ! Because what we find out is this guy Bishop, who is the one who kidnapped Sarah Lance, the reason he came back after she killed him last week was because he's a clone, and he just has his consciousness put into the new clone body. And then to jump to the end, and then I'll fill in the middle, my note is, Sarah Lance is a clone! !
That was the what the fuck. I mean, not in a bad way. I was just like totally shocked about that.
It took me by surprise. Let me tell you something. If we were talking about any other CW show, I'd go, no, it's a bullshit. That she's not a clone. This show might actually say, yeah, no, Sarah Lance is a clone now. Deal with it. Like,
they might. I'm not sure if I'm totally buying into it, but they might. You're right. If one of them was going to do it, they would do it.
Right. I'm not saying it's what's going to happen. I'm just saying that this is the show that makes me go, is she? Because any other show, I'd be like, no.
No, not at all.
No, but they might, because this show's batshit. I mean, Ava's a clone.
Yeah. A planet of Avas running around.
Right, exactly. So yeah, this is a fun episode. It's mostly centered on the planet that Sarah Lance is on with Bishop. We see Rory and the alien who yeah, lots of sexual chemistry.
You knew that coming. You knew that was coming from a mile away.
Absolutely. They completely telegraphed that. It was great. I love that Gideon in the 20s is a TV. Yes. Weird. I love that that Amelia Earhart shows up as Sarah Lance. So what the crew is doing on Earth is they go, someone has shown up to an insane asylum I think they're on the 20s because that's where Constantine lives, I guess. And they have to go see who it is, and it's Amelia Earhart from the episode a couple of episodes ago where we see like alien Amelia Earhart, and it turns out, because Astra goes into her head and they do the DNA test, that is Amelia Earhart. So Bishop plucked this woman out of space and time and like grafted alien stuff on her, and that's why she's all over the place. Gary comes out of a toilet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Only on Legends that will accept it also.
I mean, yeah. I mean, whatever. It's Gary. The toilet was there. It's Legends. But I was just like, this is bizarre. And then, so we find out that the way Amelia Earhart got back to Earth was she stole the Wave Rider. Which I don't, like, did Rory just leave the keys in the ignition? Like, how did you steal the Wave Rider?
I don't know. I mean yeah.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, and then so Rory has sex with the alien in a pod because they think they're going to die, and Sarah Lance is a clone. That's pretty much the episode. Again, it wasn't one of the most fun, exciting episodes of the season, but you need these episodes to further the plot of the season. So I think that was the function of this, and I think it did it well.
Okay. Yeah, no, I thought it was a pretty, especially after the like really batshit crazy episode we got over the last, episodes we've gotten recently. This one I thought was a little bit more serious and a little bit more like focused on, all right, where the hell is this thing heading for this season?
Yeah,
which I enjoyed, and I also enjoy the batshit crazy stuff too, though. But yeah, no, I definitely a completely enjoyable episode right there. Curious to see where they go with that, because now you left us with the whole Sarah Lance is a clone shit. Right. So that payoff better be happening hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah. And again, I'm hoping that the crew gets back together soon, because I don't mind that they've been apart again. We said it's been working well enough, but I like when they're all together.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's definitely the cast really makes that show, and the chemistry is what shows through every week and carries that whole thing.
Right, exactly.
All right, so let's go to Batwoman, Season 2, Episode 16. For a show that, I think we have to kind of just admit to it. We've kind of been warming up to this thing over as the season's gone on. It started off pretty bumpy, and it was a pretty rough ride there for a little while, but they're kind of settling in and finding their way. And this is an episode I genuinely really enjoyed. And like you said before the show when we were chatting about it, not for a Batwoman episode. We genuinely enjoyed the episode for a episode of episodic television.
Yeah.
We actually just enjoyed it. The episode starts off with a whole fight with, this chick's got these swords and she's going ahead and she, she's fighting with Batwoman and she goes ahead and hurts somebody. And then Batwoman's calling back to the Batcave and then there's nobody there to pick up. And then after Batwoman takes care of everything, we find out Luke was away and he kind of like needs his own space and his own time to do what he's doing. To kind of like clear his head after the shit that's been going down with him the last couple episodes, regarding the the GCPD, well, the Crows tried to go ahead and literally they shot him and accused him of, incorrectly accused him of trying to steal a car. And then at the same time this is going on, the officer from the now disbanded Crows is going to face trial and everything like that. And he's out on bail and it's kind of like free out on bail for now. And so he's waiting trial. So there's that element to it. And they bump into each other in a bar where Luke is going to go ahead and he's playing cards and stuff like that. You kind of see he's teed up and ready for a fight. I mean, he's pretty pissed off about it. And then we all run into an old friend, John Diggle. So Diggle shows up on this episode. He's in Gotham. He's there to, he's there on his own business and stuff. But he kind of has Luke's back, and he, takes him under the wing. I wasn't sure if they had met or not in any of the crossover stuff, but I didn't think too deep into it because they acted like they didn't meet before. I don't believe so.
I don't think they actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think they have because Diggle wasn't. No, you know why I know they haven't because what I clocked watching the crossover episodes, especially the last one last year, is you only got the whole cast of the show you were on. So we only got Diggle wouldn't have shown up on the Batwoman episode and vice versa. So they wouldn't have met. Yeah,
and I didn't get that. I got the impression they haven't met there, but he kind of takes him under his wing, talks to him a bit. No pun intended. Takes him under his wing because we know Luke is going to become Batwing. I thought there was going to be a mention of, hey, I know what I've seen this before, this type of thing. Like I can relate, and I helped out a hero in Star City and everything like that. So there is that. They have a pretty good chemistry going with Diggle and with Luke Fox and that. We also find out as an episode that apparently Black Mask has been working with Sophia because Sophia is back. They've been working together, and Sophia kind of gave Black Mask the tips of where Kate Kane's plane was and her flight information when she's coming back from National City back in the first episode. So we know Black Mask's whole scheme was to kind of like take her down and get back with, as Jason loves to call him, Papa Crow.
Papa Crow.
To get back at him for, kind of like indirectly like blaming for what happened to his daughter. So there's that. I noted the cool storyline with Luke and Diggle. I thought there was some very interesting Kate Kane stuff. I know that's usually a name when it gets mentioned. We cringe on this show, but they're using her now. Like she's starting to break out of it, and she's got a different face and everything that kind of like Alice gave her. She's struggling, breaking out with this brainwashing that's going on. But there's a scene where Kate Kane is running through the city, and Batwoman picks her up. And I thought that was going to be what was going to jar her memory, seeing like someone else in a Batwoman suit and everything else. But apparently that didn't totally jar her memory. It's still kind of like scattered throughout this episode. And the man affectionately known as Papa Crow, Jacob Kane, apparently is going to go to Metropolis because he's apparently arrested as well. And he's going to face his time, I guess, or serve his time in Metropolis. Because there is a point in this episode where Alice and Jacob Kane are working with Ocean, and they're trying to go ahead and track down Kate throughout this episode. And I guess he kind of like, if I remember correctly, he kind of like turns himself in or something like that. And, oh, yeah, that's right. He gets arrested for – yes, I'm sorry. I was screwing that up. Yes, he gets arrested for aiding and abetting the Crows, right? Like No, Alice. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm just twisting things around.
He pretty much gets arrested because Sienna sets him up.
Yeah, Sienna sets him up for that.
I just, if I can make for just a second, because I think my favorite scene in this episode, and I'm with you, Eddie. I actually really like this episode. Mm-hmm. Was when Cyanus and Papa Crow are having that conversation, and Cyanus' men are on the side, and Papa Crow's like, yeah, well, you try to do anything to me, and I'll have the GCPD at your door. And he goes, oh, really? And those guys just pull their badges out?
Yes,
that was a badass power move on Cyanus' part.
Yeah, that is very true. That was a pretty big power move he pulled out on there. So that's how Jacob Kane gets arrested. And then we find out he's going to end up going to Metropolis. So I'm sure that's not going to be a throwaway thing. I'm curious to see how that gets paid off, though, because now you're in Metropolis. You're, kind of in the Superman Lois area. So we'll see if they start, crossing over a little bit more, if there's any mention of Jacob Kane on Superman Lois at some point. So I figured that would be pretty cool. All right, yeah. So then that's pretty much kind of what we got for. Do you have anything else to add with Batwoman season 2?
Yeah, I actually did, couple of things. I actually really did like Alice in this episode, and I've not really loved out the character of Alice thus far, and then probably because she's so Kate Kane adjacent. But I thought that fight scene she had with the assassin, because the assassin kills Ocean, and I really like that fight scene with that assassin and how just she dispenses the woman, like she does, like she's really good, and then but it's too late. I like the stuff between her and Papa Crow. Like, I really dug the fact that it took I think too long, but I really dug the fact that he's kind of trying to see her as his daughter now and not as this monster. And I like that they were working together, and I hope that they do more of that, putting them together, because I think it worked. I mean, I actually did like that Kate Kane stuff, and I you know me, I hate the mere mention of the name Kate Kane sends chills down my spine. But I think it works with those two together. So those were kind of the things I wanted to highlight that I really enjoyed about the episode.
Yeah, so I'm really by their episode count, they're winding down to the end of their season. So I'm curious to know where they go and how the whole thing plays out with Batwing and Luke Fox becoming Batwing. So I thought that was pretty sweet.
Now, quick question. Does the Desert Rose, I know the Desert Rose saved his life, but does it heal you instantly? Because they made a comment, like Diggle made the comment, you shot him 3 days ago or a couple days ago, and now you're trying to beat him up and expect him to show you respect. And I was thinking, did the Desert Rose just cure him like that, or is that just kind of like comic book magic? Like, yeah, he's fine now.
I don't know. They say the Desert Rose works pretty quickly from what we've seen on the show, so
it's not really a problem.
I'm gonna just write it off as that.
Yeah, I was just curious.
All right, cool. So let's talk about The Flash, season 7, episode 13. An episode that kind of like sees, by the way, I just gotta really talk off the top. Is that Cisco's gone now. And Chester's taking over, and he's, kind of like, this episode really focuses on him a lot and him pushing things along and filling that role. And they do spend a good amount of time on that. The Iris Barry thing that they're trying to have a kid, like, why is this like even a mention on this show? Because like Chester walks downstairs and kind of like bumps into them, and it raised a lot of questions to me about the Flash and the sexual prowess there for a minute that I didn't really want to think about. I was
the thing is, though, why are they having sex in the supply room? Like,
he can grab her, he can carry Iris home and go ahead and boom, 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 and then come back.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you're the fastest man alive. You grab her, you go home, you do your business. You're so fast you probably could even shower before you come back. Like, why are you going down there and traumatizing poor Chester and poor us? Because I don't want to think about Barry Allen and Iris Allen and sex, because this is a very sexless show to me. Like,
it is a very sexless show.
To think about that, it's like, and don't get me wrong, I think Iris as a woman is very attractive, but this show is just like, it feels wrong to think about sex in the context of this show.
It just seems like a very weird forced thing I don't know what the payoff is. You know what I mean? I think they've introduced it the last 2 episodes, and it just keeps on coming out of like left field, and you're like, what the fuck is this? But whatever. The episode, past that part of it, because that kind of happens very early on in the episode, the villain of the week is essentially this guy named Psycho Pirate, who is from Gotham, and he ends up like, there's a mask that ends up taking over Cecile. Then we learn a lot about Cecile's past. Barry gets sucked into like her subconscious and everything like that, and that's where most of the episode takes place. And they also go after Team Flash brings in I believe it's Sue.
Oh yeah, Sue Dearborn.
Yeah. So they bring her back, and they kind of dance around the Rob Dibney stuff, because I guess they didn't recast him yet, or the actor was fired off the show. So they kind of mention him, and he's out doing something, and that's usually the excuse to get away, and she's going to stick around for a while. So we get to see that character again, which I actually like that character.
I like that character a lot. I was glad to see her. I have a crush on that actress. I think she's super pretty. I think she's cool. My question to you is, do you think that were gearing up to make her part of Team Flash before they had to write Dibny out of the show?
That's a good question. I'm really not sure.
Because when I watch my rewatch or my catch up of that, I kind of thought that's where it was going because they were teaming up and then she was being brought in, and then of course all that stuff happened between seasons, so Dibny just disappeared, and I think we saw her once, right?
Yeah, and then Dibny like looked weird and they covered his face and everything like that. Now the thing with Rob Dibny though is that like as the elongated man, he can technically look however the hell he wants to look. I mean,
They just have to justify why he changed his appearance, which is it's a comic book show. It's easy.
Yeah, you don't have to go that far for it. You don't have to excuse him, but whatever. Though I'm sure they'll figure it out. But that's pretty much what the episode focuses on is the psycho pirate who is there. They end up taking him down with her help. Sue ends up calling out Chester at one point for like kind of like jumping the gun and not listening to more experienced members of Team Flash, specifically her. So there is that to it. I thought it was a fine episode. I mean, it was entertaining. Nothing, too crazy, I think, for the overall thing of the season, except for the weird Barry Iris trying to get pregnant thing, which we know that they're bringing back excess, at some point, and Bart Allen is going to be introduced as his son at some point in the season, so I don't know if they needed to remind us that they have kids eventually or something.
Yeah.
It seems really strange, but whatever. Yeah, I think they can just drop that out of it and call it a day. Because even Chester kind of like voices what we're saying, and he's just like, guys, we really don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah. Oh, I love when he calls him out on it. That was a nice Chester moment.
Yeah, it was just totally necessary in my opinion.
I have a feeling, and it's not. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm starting to get the feeling that the guy who plays Joe West is going to leave, the actor, because
they're kind of not giving him much to do lately.
He's doing almost nothing. Like he's left the police department. He shows up for maybe one or two scenes an episode, and like he was barely in this one, barely in the last one was Cisco's last episode, but he was barely in it. So it's like, is this guy leaving too? And that would be sad because he's my third favorite character, which would mean my top three favorite characters of the show had left.
Yeah, that would be a pretty big blow to the Flash. I haven't seen anything about him leaving yet, but
it's just a feeling I get because they're not doing anything with him. And usually he's a character they do a lot with. Like, to take him off the police squad and give him nothing else to do, that kind of worries me about the future of the actor in the show.
Yeah, no, and rightfully so, because that's usually kind of how it happens when characters start like not having a lot to do and they kind of get like pushed to the background. They kind of just continue pushing them and fizzling out eventually. All right, so the last CW show we got here, and it's one that I think we were consistently our favorite, that has really turned us on to the characters. Superman and Lois, episode 10 of season 1. So this thing picks up like right off the bat where it left last episode with that big cliffhanger of like we find out Morgan Edge is a Kryptonian, but apparently he is not General Zod, which we were curious to see if that was going to be the big reveal. It turns out that he's a character named Tal-Rho, who is a half brother of Superman, that they share the same mother. Like his parents were kind of like linked together to, and they had a relationship, and then she fell in love with Jor-El eventually, and then like ended her relationship with the kind of like arranged marriage that she had and with the child that she had. But we also find out that Tal-Rho was sent to Earth, and I thought it was an interesting twist that they did with this, because they sent him to Earth, so he was technically the first Kryptonian that was sent to Earth in this mythology, and he was not treated with open arms by the Kents and everything like that. And you can kind of see what someone with that kind of power set can do if they're treated like a lab rat, and like we would mostly assume how, a government, because he lands in like London, if I remember correctly, like that. He lands in Europe. Yeah. And that's kind of explains why he has his accent. And he's grown there and he's mistreated constantly by their government and all this other stuff. You can kind of see why he's got a bone to pick with humanity in general, because he sees them one way, and obviously we know Kal-El sees them another way. So I thought that was a pretty interesting twist that they did there. And the other thing is, throughout this episode, we find more about the subconsciouses being, installed into people and things like that. And then that their mother, Superman's mother, was also, her subconscious is put into Lana Lang, which I thought was a very interesting spin on things. And because apparently when there was a device that was made to what Tao-Ro believes was to terraform Earth, kind of like Zod's plan in Man of Steel, to make a brand new Krypton, he kind of took it as, oh, we're going to wipe out the humans and rebuild Krypton. And Cal is kind of like, no, not really. We were just trying to make the Kryptonians survive, but kind of like amongst each other. Maybe that's kind of what Mom was saying, not really what you're talking about, like replacement. So she kind of like helps them explain some things and gets through the technology and her invention and things like that. And ultimately, ends up like getting all these subconsciouses out of everybody that's had them implanted, because they do touch more on Lana Lang's husband, who also had a subconscious put into him. And when that dude is locked up, by the way, some of the shit that he's saying to some of the other characters,
God, yeah,
he threatens Jonathan Kent, man, like, I'm gonna kill you first. Yeah, like, he was like pretty menacing, man. I was like, holy shit, man! If I'm hoping Cal can hear you right now, because he would probably like rip your head off talking to his son like that. Wow.
Yeah, no, that was dark. It was dark.
Yeah, that got pretty dark and pretty intense rather quickly. So yeah, and I think it's pretty cool that Cal got to speak with his mother temporarily and things like that through Lana. I mean, another good episode. I think kind of like it started like speeding, getting the. I mean, I don't feel the show has been slow at all, but I feel like they really kicked it into another gear with this episode to really fast forward things, because at the end we see Tao-Ro, I guess we don't have to call him Morgan Edge anymore, because the jig is up. Everyone knows what's the deal with him. That he tells his assistant who's with him, it's kind of like, yeah, no, not all is lost. And I couldn't see because of maybe the lighting in the TV and things like that. It was kind of dark, where it looks like they were going onto a ship or a cave or something like that. Like, I guess they still have a backup plan.
Yeah. This was an exciting episode. I really enjoyed it. I have to say that, like, I really wanted to touch on a little bit more the sort of Morgan Edge, like how he is like the shadow of Superman, like in the Joseph Campbell like myth archetype writing that he does, which I've actually, when I teach comic books in the classroom, I teach it through that lens, because comic books really do. It's sort of like our cultural mythology, our modern day cultural mythology. And, what makes a good villain is that they are the shadow of the hero. They're the different side of the same coin. And and I've never seen Superman have that, because Lex Luthor is very different than him. Yeah. And, General Zod, all of his big villains. But this was so interesting because, this could have been Clark Kent's experience. Like, what if Clark Kent was the one who landed in England and Morgan Edge was the one that landed in Smallville? Morgan Edge then goes on to be the hero and Clark Kent goes on to be the villain. And I really like that, playing with, it's all about the circumstances, right? Kal-El got lucky, but what if you don't get lucky? What happens to you? And how does that form your opinion of the world? And really it's sort of like, how to make a supervillain almost. Yeah. And I really enjoyed the psychology behind all of that. So I wanted to just touch on that a bit more, because I thought it was so smart. And again, it's what I like about this show. This show is really smart.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to touch on too, actually, is Jonathan Kent really lets his grandfather have it.
Oh yeah.
Again, like the second episode in a row, he really like puts him in his place and and basically encourages him to kind of be more of a human. Just don't be a general for once. Like, be my grandfather. And thanks him, like, thanks grandpa, like, after that. So Jonathan Kent's like put his foot down. I think he's been empowered by Lois, because to kind of be like, hey, we're the like non-superpowered half of this family. We kind of got to hold our own, and there's a lot of things that we can do with that. I feel that's where they're like driving his part of it, because like Jordan didn't have too much to do in this episode. He was kind of like just in the background for a little bit, which is fine. He's got a lot of attention for a lot of the episodes too. So.
Yeah, right. And I think it's smart to not always focus on him, because, what we said this, we said this when we first started reviewing this, like Jonathan Kent is who Kal-El, right? Who Kal-El wanted to be growing up, and what's his other son's name? I forget.
Jordan.
And Jordan is who Clark Kent was growing up, right? The loner and everything. And so when we were talking about last week about how Lois Lane is Clark Kent's humanity, so it's nice to see them paired off. Well, the Clark Kent, or the Kal-El type person, son, is the one with no powers, and so he needs Lois's humanity, and strength to draw from. So I really like that they've kind of split that up, and they're playing around with that within the family dynamic of this.
Yeah, and there was one thing too that I thought was pretty powerful when and we're gonna say that name because it was said in the episode.
Yes, it was.
Yes, very much, and I did yell it out once it was said because that's what I have to do. When Clark is telling his mother, his mother's subconsciousness through, Lana Lang about Martha, and he's saying that it's hard to not do it.
I cannot do it.
Why did you say that name?
Say that name.
No, well, I mean, he's telling her all about it, and his mother's just very much like, and he loved it. She loved it. She loved the fact that happened, and was very, very thankful and everything like that Clark had a mother on Earth growing up. So I thought that was pretty powerful. And we also find out, by the way, one question that I never really thought I needed an answer to, but it was pretty freaking smart, man. Like in Fortress of Solitude, whether it's in the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, whether it's this, whether it's in the DCU, we always see that Jor-El's subconsciousness is like in the Fortress of Solitude, is present in the ship and everything. And then you kind of never really got an explanation of what happened to his mother's. Like, why weren't both of their subconsciouses like installed and for this whole thing for guidance? And then they addressed it in this episode because Clark asked the question, and then she responds. She says, "Well, this guy, who I was married to, whatever, what I had your half brother with, he took it out of the ship before it had taken off to kind of like punish them for that for like leaving him and for Jor-El." So I thought that was actually pretty damn awesome. And again, it's something I didn't know I needed, but it kind of makes a lot of sense because that is a legit question. Like, why is it always just Jor-El?
Right. Yeah. No, I didn't even think about it either until they brought it up. But it's nice to get that answer, even though I didn't know I needed it. It makes the Superman world feel more complete. And I guess that's what this show is for me. It's making a world I didn't really like feel more complete and fleshed out. And I'm with you. I'm really grateful that they addressed that.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty awesome. So, all right, let's move on to the MCU portion of the episode of the Granny's PhD episode. We got a new episode of Loki, which dropped on Disney Plus on Wednesdays. So if you're not sure, they drop on Wednesdays. So we're going to cover it there. When we get back to our Wednesdays, we will do the same thing. But it's working out where we're giving everyone extra time to go ahead and check out the episode a couple times before we're able to review it. So, wow. Tim is jumping on here. Tim just jumped on right here. I guess he wanted to talk about Loki.
All right. Tim. Yes.
You're a little early for that one.
I know. I'm chomping at the bit.
Wow, somebody needs to be. Tim, did you have a chance to watch Loki?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
All right, so we're not going to spoil the hell out of it for you, so that's good to know.
Nope, I watched it.
All right.
I love the Loki Wednesday, Bad Batch Friday. I love it. I'm glad they split them up.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool, so it's not just like hitting you all at once with everything. All right, so the episode kicks off and with the TVA going to 1985, where they're tracking down a variant of Loki at a cosplay gathering. I think it was like in Ohio or something like that.
It's a Ren fair.
It's a Ren fair. Oh, sorry, Renaissance fair. Sorry. And
I was a theater kid. I know that stuff.
Jason in for the save.
Those things are scary too. I'm sorry, but they are.
Tim, have you been to a Renaissance fair?
I have been to the one upstate in Sterling Forest a couple times, and they don't break character for shit.
They do not.
Scary. They do not break character. They got the dirty beggars who grab a hold of your leg and beg for money, and they will not let go until you give them money. And as a child, that's terrifying.
Wow.
Yes,
I had no idea.
And they had wait, real quick. I'm sorry. They had a kissing bridge, and the only way you can get across is if you're with somebody you can kiss, your wife, your girlfriend. Now I'm young, I have nobody to kiss, so they have these big, fat wenches on the bridge that you got to kiss to get across this bridge.
Oh my god!
I ain't kissing no wench back in the day. Now I'll kiss me a wench now. I don't give a shit. Back then, like, there's no way it's gonna happen. So I dove across the bridge. I ran through all these people. Like, I'm not kissing anybody. And they chased me, a guy with a sword. Come back here, thee. I was like,
what?
Get it. It's terrifying.
Tim,
Renaissance fairs are terrifying.
Were you at a Ren fair, or were you kidnapped by like a 1980s jigsaw?
I'm starting to wonder a little bit more about this Ren fair now.
It was the one that's upstate, Sterling Forest. It's the most famous one in New York, I think. So,
wow.
And then someone pulled out the dildo from Seven. I mean,
oh no, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
Oh boy, that's pretty good. All right, so the TVA is tracking down the Loki variant. And they're pretty much taken out by this Loki variant outside. Like pretty quickly, and that jumps into the Need a Hero song that we kicked off our episode with because it's playing during that scene. And then she pretty much goes out and steals takes one of the TVA Minutemen and takes one of their devices that pretty much like door portal openers, or I don't even think they gave it an official name yet. So she takes one of those and kind of like walks through it. And then the second scene we jump into is where Loki is training with Miss Minutes.
Yeah,
it was a pretty damn funny. That was a pretty funny thing. He's reading a magazine about the jet skis, which is apparently we find out is Agent Mobius because he has this weird thing about jet skis that he's like fascinated by them. But one of the big things we find out there, though, that Loki is supposed to be training with is a Nexus level event. Once it hits a red line, I guess, on their trackers that they have, then the TVA can no longer reset the timeline, which is foreshadowing for the rest of the episode because they do reference that a couple of times. That was foreshadowing for us. And I thought it was really funny how they had Loki and Miss Minutes playing off each other because he was kind of like screwing around with her and stuff like that. And like jumped into the computer and it was like, are you recording or not? And stuff. So it was a pretty funny banter there.
Tom Hiddleston is really funny. Like I'm glad that he's getting to show that part of his range, because in the movies he's villainous or he's a trickster, but we've never seen him get to be this playful, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, no, not at all. So then the Loki and TVA briefing where thing popped up where Loki gets his jacket. And he starts to explain, there's a conversation about his abilities. Yeah, they give him like a jacket where normally with the police it would say like CSI in the back or something like that or whatever the hell. And then on his it says Variant right across the back, which is pretty awesome. I want a Variant jacket.
I do too.
Midtown Comics another month. I guarantee they have it.
Oh, absolutely. Or a T-shirt.
Yeah.
I want a Variant jacket, but I want it made out of that fine Asgardian leather.
Yeah, so there's a whole conversation about Loki's abilities and like projecting magic and things like that. So I thought that was pretty cool, and they separates the two that's there. And then they go back to the 1985 branched timeline where there's a whole conversation and they're investigating the scene, and Loki is there, and then Loki starts stalling, like he's yapping uncontrollably and blah blah blah. And then the head agent of the Minutemen that's there, she's going ahead and calling him out on it, saying he's stalling, but Mobius is kind of like holding out and letting him do his thing, but eventually catches on. And then they're like, no, screw this. We got to go and reset the damn timeline and get the hell out of here because it was almost going to redline, which you got to figure Loki was stalling on purpose because he knows now, he's fully aware of the whole redline situation.
Yeah, and I love I love the stall technique is he's like, well, wait a minute. No, don't go outside. The Loki is outside. And if you go out there, he's going to kill you. He wants me. He wants me to help him. And what I loved is Mobius, like, no, wait, but give him a chance. And he gets to the point and he goes, no, you're lying. You almost had me, though. It was the way he calls him on it, because I think Owen Wilson is playing so nonchalant. Like, he's and I just love that he's like, oh, no, you're lying. No, let's go. And so I really enjoyed that sort of banter between them.
Yeah, no, they're definitely playing off each other pretty well, and I think it's like one of the strongest parts of the show so far. That's there. So next scene goes ahead, and the Agent Mobius is going ahead and meeting with the head of the TVA, whose name is kind of escaping me at the moment. And there's a mention of another analyst that was in her chambers and stuff like that. So, but I think that's pretty important though, because in the comics, apparently this character's had a relationship with Kang the Conqueror.
Oh,
yes. Like a romantic relationship. So I'm starting to wonder if maybe pre-Kang, maybe he's not Kang the Conqueror yet, or perhaps the other analyst. And I'm not trying to go Reed Richards route. I'm not trying to go, wild, crazy theory here. I'm just laying it out.
We're just talking. We're just talking here.
Just talking here. There's no Mephisto, not going Reed Richards, not going any of this crowd. I'm just throwing it out there. It kind of looks like it lines up a little bit.
That would be interesting if the way they introduced him is as like a former TVA agent or a rogue TVA agent or something like that. Like I could see that. I mean, I could see it not happening, but I don't see it happening. It would be interesting.
It would be a pretty cool way to introduce Jonathan Masters into the show.
So you guys didn't hear about the theory already that's out there, or did you?
Which one?
Which one?
Well, did you hear about the who was supposedly the cameo in first episode, supposedly?
No, I did not.
No.
All right, now if you go back and you watch it, it is true. When Loki's sitting in the room, they bring in another lawbreaker, time breaker, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
And it looks really, really like Peggy Carter. I mean, it looks like her. They're saying that it's her. Someone's saying that it's her. Now, in this episode, they're saying because of that pen, which I know you're going to get to.
Yeah.
Because that pen means something. Mm-hmm. And from the comic books, that pen was given to Steve Rogers by Franklin Roosevelt, his high school, some bullshit along those lines. Anyway, the theory is that Steve Rogers is the other guy, the other one, because he broke the time law by going back to live with Peggy Carter. They said, if you want to live with her, you got to come work for us and do some shit for us. Then we'll let you live your life or whatever.
So that's Steve Rogers being the other analyst.
Interesting.
And that's where that pen came from, because it's a Franklin. That's the high school he went to, or the president gave him that pen back in some shit along those. It was in the comic books, though, not in the MCU. So, but that's something they're throwing out there. So, but when you go back and watch the first episode, she looks just like Peggy Carter. I don't know if it was or not. And in this one, they're saying that it could possibly actually be Steve Rogers being punished for breaking the time law by going back after Endgame.
That's a pretty interesting theory, dude. I would be cool with that too. Either one. I have a feeling it's somebody. It's somebody of importance, one way or the other. That I think we're getting here. No, that would be cool. I'm not going to be opposed to having Steve Rogers in it. All right, so then after that, we see Mobius leaves that meeting, and he's kind of like running out of patience with Loki, and he pretty much tells him as much. He pretty much lays out, hey, you could believe whatever you want to believe. Here is option A or option B, because Loki is pretty much like, and he lays it out for him. He goes, what are you going to do? You're going to go ahead and meet with the Time Masters, and you're going to overthrow them and then take over the TVA? Is that going to be your plan? And Loki gives him a quick look like,
oh, how did you know?
Okay, am I that predictable?
And I want to, before we move on, I love how Loki justifies his behavior. He's like, well, I was teaching you a lesson, the lesson you need to know about catching a Loki. Always expect the expected.
Yes.
I just love that. Like, it's so Loki. It was really good.
Yeah, he's like just weaseling his way out of it and backpedaling as much as he possibly can. All right, so then in the next scene we get here, then Loki is pretty much Mobius sends Loki to go do some research and read through some paperwork, which Loki learns a lot. He learns a lot of things that we know. He learns about Ragnarok, which this Loki would not have known about yet, but he's learning this. And I think it's a pretty big scene because he's reading it, and you can see as he's seeing how many Asgardians were presumed dead and everything like that, how things were wiped out, he starts tearing up.
Yeah.
Like, it starts hitting him pretty hard again.
And look, some could say that Ragnarok is the thing that made Loki do the heroic act in the beginning of Infinity War. So, it would make sense that because this is how it hit the other Loki, so of course it's going to hit this one the same way.
Yeah, this one's got a completely different perspective. And then they pretty much figured, then it hits him though. He's like, wait a second. maybe this variant Loki is hiding out in apocalyptic events like throughout time. And then the way he explains it to Mobius is absolutely priceless. Because Mobius is having lunch and he's about to eat his salad, and he's like, well, think about it. Like, he takes the salt and he starts throwing it over. Well, this is the Hulk. And he's going ahead and he's throwing over this thing. And let's pretend like this is this and this is that. It's pretty great. And Mobius is like, damn it, man, I really wanted that salad.
And I think it's really funny is at the end he goes, okay, it's a bad analogy. So he did all of that.
For no reason. That was great. Just pretty much like fuck up his lunch.
Oh, it's so funny.
But then to prove it, though, they decide to go to Pompeii and they test the theory. So him and Mobius go to Pompeii, and then Mobius is like, yeah, we can do some like weird whistling noises or bird sounds and shit like that. And he goes, oh, absolutely not. He runs over. He starts screaming, frees a bunch of freaking goats. Be free, my horned friends.
That's right.
That was a great line. And he's speaking in Italian.
Yes.
We find out Tom Hiddleston's like, reeling off shit in Italian, which I thought was great to see.
And it just like, I am Loki. I'm from the future. You're all about to die. I know that because I'm from the future.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. But it turns out his theory's correct. If you go to an apocalyptic event where everything's going to get wiped out, you can do whatever the hell you want because everyone's going to die anyway. So you just got to make sure nobody survives. So pretty good conversation right there with them. Then they go back and they're having a conversation about the jet ski. Loki's asking them why the jet ski. What's your fascination about it? Find out Mobius has never even seen one. He's never been on one. He kind of just like is reading about it and says it's the perfect combination of like style and like and mechanical and function and things like that. Is a perfect marriage from the early 90s, which I thought was pretty great. And they have a conversation about free will. Pretty much saying, all right, so what you're saying is that free will doesn't exist. Only in the TVA you can kind of do whatever the hell you want. But everyone else their future is already done and things like that. So it's questioning a lot of the TVA beliefs and what Mobius believes in. And Mobius pretty much just says, I don't really think too hard about it where we all come from because it gets kind of crazy. But he kind of just accepts things as they are. So do you guys think, Tim, we'll start off with you. Do you get the feeling that, I think what Jason and I talked about in the last episode, you got a feeling like the TVA is just completely full of shit and like the Time Masters, like it's not what it seems. It's maybe some weird Wizard of Oz type shit going on.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something going on, particularly because no one's ever seen the Time Masters before.
Yeah.
I'm a little... I'm enjoying the show, don't get me wrong. You cannot enjoy Hiddleston. And me not being an old Wilson fan a long time, but he grew on me over the years. I'm loving him too. But yeah, I don't buy any of this shit, to be honest with you. I think this is all some kind of big hoax or play or something going on. Because who are these Time Masters and how do you unsee them? And how is it even possible to do what they're doing? I don't know. See, we're getting into a weird part of the MCU now. Now we got Eternals. We're going to have, all kinds of crazy shit now. So, but yeah, I think something hinky going on, if that's the word. Definitely.
No, I like that. I like hinky. That's a good one.
and also something worth mentioning is everyone who works in the TVA seems to have been created specifically to work for the TVA, which is slavery. Is it not like a form of slavery?
Seems like it. You kind of built them to work to it. So yeah.
Right.
And why is it the 70s in the TVA, by the way?
Good question. I've been wondering that too. I'm like, wondering if that's going to play it. Yeah. Everything's brown.
Weird.
It's like Partridge Family type thing going on there.
The TVs are like the weird 70s TVs, like the psychedelic kind of stuff. And people are wearing those nasty brown. I don't know. That's really weird though. But like I said, there's something fishy going on.
Yeah, something's up. Something is definitely wrong with that thing. And that's when they started like diving into it. And there's really no answers. And especially when Loki goes to get the files about the creation of the TVA. Because throughout both episodes, he's questioning a lot of this shit. Because he's just like, no, this is just not it. You know what I mean? Like, this is just too, it's just not what it seems. He's very skeptical.
He can sense deception. He's the freaking master of lies and trickery and deception. So he knows when someone's trying to pull the wool over your eyes. And I think that's why he keeps questioning, because he must sense there's something off here.
Yeah, absolutely. So in that whole scene, it jogs the memory, and then he refers to Loki as a scared little boy, and then it gets to Mobius, and he's like, "Wait a second, that could have been a clue." So he goes back gets the evidence of that kablooey gum that he had from the scared little boy that he runs into in the first episode, and they look it up, where they try to find out where the hell was kablooey from. They find out that there was a future apocalyptic event in 2050. That's when that gum existed. And I thought it was pretty interesting that it was Roxcart that was there. Now, if you're familiar with Marvel Comics and a lot of the shows, like Agent Carter was mentioned in, Cloak and Dagger, which Jason and I had checked out, and even in Daredevil and in Iron Man 3, Roxxon is this like evil corporation throughout Marvel that I'm assuming that turned out to be like their Walmart, from what it looks like, essentially.
I believe it's also in the Spider-Man games. I believe they're like...
Yes.
It is. They're real bad in the games.
Yeah, no, they are. You got to go in and take them out.
So
out of all of them.
Yeah, so Roxcart is where they decide they end up going. A funny scene in between there, though, when they're trying to get ready, and Mobius goes to hand Loki some like knife to be ready, and that agent walks by and is like, "Oh hell no! Like get out of here! They're not giving him this shit."
That
like,
agent cracks me up.
Guy. She's great.
She's
great. So he gets taken away immediately. So they end up going to 2050 to Roxcart. I thought it looked pretty cool when Loki drives himself off with his magic, because when they get out, it's pouring rain, and he's just like, "Whoop!" I'm like, well, I'm not going to go ahead and announce myself by being soaking wet like you guys, like dripping all over the place. The hell is that? So they immediately run into some people that are there, and Variant Loki apparently is using like enchantment to go ahead and put itself through, to other beings. So like ends up taking over that agent. He gets into some shit with her, some other guy that was working there. And then I thought one thing that's really interesting that we're going to touch on more in a second is that when he refers to this variant as Loki, it says immediately, like, don't call me that name. Like, doesn't want to be referred to as Loki, which I think is a huge clue that's there.
Now, did we skip the breakdown of the different variant Lokis, or is that?
Oh yes, I'm sorry. No, that was further. Go ahead, Jason.
Because I thought what you find out is this is not the first variant Loki they've hunted. Apparently, like there is like multiple Loki variants that have gone and screwed with the timeline, and some of them are like our Loki, and some of them are not. One of them they show as like a demon type looking Loki, so it kind of sets up that it's not always the Loki we think it is. But also I do think it's funny that Loki somehow keeps finding a way to like get outside of the timeline to become a variant. So I thought that was fun. That's why I wanted to make sure that we sort of touched on that.
But that's a big thing also, though, because one thing we're all looking forward to is variant versions of characters showing up, mainly Spider-Man No Way Home, when we're all expecting to see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. But I think this is important, though, because they make sure that they state that in different variant versions, they don't always look exactly the same. So I think that's like really setting the stage to let you know, like, hey, when these other Spider-Men show up, they don't always have to look like Tom Holland in the MCU. And also, there could be other versions, because there are rumors out there about other versions of like an Iron Man or Captain America, Steve Rogers showing up in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So I think we're like that. Again, I think that was setting the stage for that. So we're not kind of like trying to like say, oh, but wait a second, like this doesn't make sense. They should all look the same. Blah 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 blah. So then Loki goes ahead and admits to the other variant Loki that he was stalling in 1985. He wanted to kind of like connect and things like that. So the agent goes ahead, and then we find out the agent that was captured in the opening scene was there because she's found by the Minutemen, but she also confesses she gave up the location of the Timekeepers. So assuming the Timekeepers, like Tim was saying, if they're real or not, apparently this variant Loki is on its way to find these Timekeepers. So maybe in the next episode, we'll actually get an answer of what the hell is going on here with the Timekeepers. So she goes ahead and I buried the lead with the she. Whoops. So the variant Loki goes ahead and sets these reset charges around, and they're all blowing up, and they're dropping through doors left and right. So you see that in the TVA, what they see is the sacred timeline branching off all over the place, out of control.
That was such an exciting scene, like watching, like just sort of and then just to see the branches go out, like I was like, they did a lot with very little. You know what I mean? Like of getting excitement up because I'm like, oh my god, this is it. We've got This is the creation of the multiverse.
Yeah, right then and there.
And be honest, if this was WBDC and this happened, you'd be like, oh shit, they're gonna ruin it all. But now it's like, all right, you're gonna have faith in Kevin Feige, you're gonna have faith in Marvel, because when you start messing with time, it gets rough. It gets rough. It gets real rough. So I said I've been skeptical with all the stuff coming out. How they're gonna pull this off? How they're gonna pull that off? How they're gonna pull this? Even this show, I get like nervous watching them. Like, how are they gonna pull this off? Like, how are they gonna do this? Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna trust them. They haven't let me down yet. So
yep.
No, and that's what the thing we talked about before. Like, I think they're covering all their bases. They're making sure they're dotting the I's as they go along to make sure that everything is, everything is in line. That's there. So then we find out though that apparently the other, the variant Loki reveals themselves to be what appears to be a lady Loki, right? Another version of it has the horns and stuff and everything. But then Loki, at the end of the episode, while the TVA is running after, she goes through a time door. Loki hesitates, looks at them, and then runs through the time door as well. So we're assuming that they're on their way. I think you guys would agree. We assume that they're going to go find the Time Masters, wherever the location is, and then we'll find out where the hell that's going on there. So, interesting thing about this character, though, this Lady Loki. Let's talk about Lady Loki. So, apparently in the credit scene, and it was somebody on Twitter or whatever it is, found it in an Italian version, okay? That she is credited. If you look at ours, it says The Variant, right? This actress's name, The Variant. In the Italian version, apparently, it's Sylvie. Now, Sylvie is not Loki. Sylvie is a character who was given Loki's powers, who is known as the Enchantress.
Oh.
So she could be the Enchantress the entire time and not Loki like we're being led to believe, because we're the ones throwing Lady Loki out there with horns and shit like that.
Interesting. And we haven't had an Enchantress in the MCU.
Nope.
Have we? No, okay.
Not at all.
Well, doesn't she?
Don't call me Loki.
Doesn't she show
Loki,
up?
That's why.
Yeah. Maybe I'm not. I'm Enchantress.
And this is a variant, so it doesn't matter. But doesn't the Enchantress show up in like the first or second season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I don't think so.
Shit, that was a while ago. I don't remember.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
I mean, I guess it doesn't matter because again, it's a variant. But that would be really interesting if they take that step. Like it's because again, she never called herself Loki. The Bureau is assuming it was Loki. Exactly. We're saying Lady Loki. So
yeah, we're the ones throwing it out there, and you said like the TVA is the one doing that. So I think and she also, the Enchantress character also has ties to the Young Avengers in the comics as well, which we've seen being set up all over the freaking place. Throughout the entire MCU Phase 4, there's been Young Avengers stuff thrown all over. So it kind of jives with everything that we've pretty much the dots that we're trying to connect, or the breadcrumbs that we think we're finding, and hoping that this is where it connects. So I thought that was an interesting thing. So this was kind of like, I think it was the Italian version last time, where we found out in Falcon and Winter Soldier who was on the phone with Agent Carter, with Sharon Carter. Remember they said they found out that it was Batroc that was on the
yes.
So Italian Netflix, Italian Disney Plus is the one who's letting it out. Feige's going to have a word with them about their translations. You guys have anything to add on the episode before we get to our movie of the week? You got any other, Tim? You got any other theories that you've come across?
No, like I said, I hope. I don't know. See, I don't think they're going to bring Loki back though. I think he's going to be the hero. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to fix whatever needs to be fixed, and I think he's going to say, "Put me back where I belong," and he's going to re-die all over again the way he's supposed to. Just my theory. I don't think he's going to. You can't keep bringing them. You can't keep bringing people back when they die.
Yeah,
this isn't Fast and the Furious. This isn't Fast and the Furious.
I mean,
you got to stop bringing people back.
Let
them die already.
This is a comic book thing, though. I mean, no one stays dead in the comic book except for Bruce Wayne's parents and Uncle Ben.
It's true.
It's very true. But I'm just saying. I think he's going to finish the story of the hero, and well, look at it. If this timeline is going to affect the Doctor Strange and Spider-Man, well, then we got a long ride ahead of us. But
yeah.
I think he's going to be the hero at the end. I'll say, put me back in the timeline. Well, you know what happens in the timeline? You're going to die. I know it's going to happen. I'm the hero. Blah blah blah. Maybe he'll have a shot. Maybe they'll bring in Chris Hemsworth for one touching goodbye scene between him and before he goes. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm digging it so far. But like I said, I get scared watching it. Because it's like, oh my God, are they going to cover their bases? Oh my God, it's time travel. And you start thinking about Back to the Future and Time Cop and all this other shit. You're like, what's going on in time travel? You can't do it. But so far, they're doing a good job.
Hey, we have one of the biggest questions in a movie that well, I'm sure Jason loves too. Tim and I love Terminator. But we always have the question about Reese and Connors being John Connor's father, which completely bends my mind every single time I think about it.
So real quick, I'm not going to go into anything crazy, but you guys know I'm obsessed with time travel. So I once read a book that examined time travel using Einstein's theory of relativity and Einstein's work. And of course, it took the math out of it because I can't deal with math. However, it is possible in Einstein's theories for someone to be their own grandfather. Like to have gone back, impregnated someone, and then 3 generations later, you're born. There is some theory where you actually can be in that time loop. I couldn't explain it now because I read that book a long time ago. But I am just throwing it out there that it is in Einstein's universe. It is theoretically possible for Reese to have come back and fathered the child
John
who
Connor,
goes and sent John Connor to send him back.
What me and Ed are always discussing is who was his original father.
Yes.
No, it was always Reese. He always went back. It's a fixed point.
No, but at some point there had to be another father before Reese went back. This is why it gets tricky.
Oh boy, here we go.
But
We're doing it.
But that's the thing is when you remove yourself from the timeline, you start playing by a different set of rules. So the theory would be is that in outside of the timeline, he was always destined to leave the timeline. So he was always John Connor's father because that is simply the way it is. And he himself is stuck in a time loop because he pretty much starts in the future, goes back, does what he has to do and die, and theoretically does that over and over again to perpetuate the timeline.
All right, Tim, you know I can't let this go now because there's the other Terminator thing that I'm going to have to bring up. And I can't believe we've spun off on this. But so there's another thing, right, that Terminator 2 does. And Jason, I'll throw this out there for you. So right. Miles Dyson, okay, he finds the chip and he finds the forearm of the original Terminator. And supposedly he uses that as a basis to build Skynet. Okay? So if the Terminator never goes back in the first place to get his thing get destroyed, what does Miles Dyson base Skynet off of?
Well, all right. So there would be 2 ways to look at it. One, it's the same deal as with Reese going back. He always finds it that way. That's just simply how things worked out because he found it, and the Terminator then is built and comes back. And again, I know it doesn't. It sounds like it shouldn't work. And I'm going to look for this book to see if I can explain it to you guys next week. I'll reread it. Or one could argue that he had that it just accelerated his work, or it just gave him new insight. Like he would have gotten there eventually, except finding this helps his research. So I think there are 2 ways.
Terminator 3, not a good movie, but Terminator 3 kind of says, well, I think everybody look, you're destined to kill yourself. That's basically what it is. All you did was delay it, but you're all destined to die by machines that you've built, no matter what it's called, no matter who you kill, this machine is going to come and kill you all because it's all your fault. That's basically what they told me in Terminator 3.
Yeah.
So plus, nowadays, how do we know that's all? One little piece of paper could have got loose out of say, oh, look, this is the whole secret to Skynet right here. Let's give it to the army, and they build it for part 3, and then that's it. It just keeps going. All they did was delay it. So I'll buy into that theory. But now, Jason, let me quick this book. I'll buy you can go back because it already happened. Can you go forward?
No,
That's the key.
The book says that you cannot travel. The only way you'd be able to travel into the future in Einstein's universe under his theories is through a wormhole. Because theoretically, there are these things called wormholes, which again, it's mathematically they've proven, but no one's ever seen it, and they link space. two parts of space. So it's sort of like a shortcut. Theoretically, they exist in different times as well. So if you were to open a wormhole simultaneously now and 20 years in the future, you'd be able to travel 20 years in the future through that wormhole. But that's it. That's the only way you'd be able to do it. And you'd have to have someone on the other end creating it for you.
Okay. I'll buy that theory. I'll buy that.
All right, now that we're sounding very smart and we talked about time travel, let's get really dumb. Let's talk about Howard the Duck, because we've been way too smart for the last 10, 15 minutes.
Listen, Elizabeth says, Marvel Comics character come to life. Yeah. They had to put Marvel Comics character on the Blu-ray just to make sure you knew it was a Marvel character. So nobody would ever fucking believe it.
No. Is this the first Marvel movie theatrically released?
I was thinking about that all week, and for some stupid reason didn't want to look it up because I didn't want it to be true.
I think it is.
I think it is too.
I didn't look it up for the same reason.
Budget? Well, big budget wise, yeah.
None of the 70s Spider-Man ever got the movies got a release.
I don't think so. I think they were all made for TV.
Yeah, if I remember right, they were, because they spun off the TV series when Spider-Man was fighting martial artists and climbing up the wall with a rope and everything. God. The silver belt.
So let's be clear.
Yes.
The first Marvel movie that was given a theatrical release was not Captain America. It was not Iron Man. It was not X-Men. It was not Spider-Man. It was Howard the Duck.
Uh-huh.
Brought to you by George Lucas.
That's batshit crazy.
Sam, by the way, I thought of you when I was reminded that George Lucas was a part of this fiasco.
Like, you by George Lucas. I just
like, this movie is crazy, and this movie shows me that there was zero understanding of comic books and why people liked them by executives in the 80s. Who was this movie made for besides me and Tim?
As a kid, I liked this movie. I'm not going to lie. I just thought it was stupid and funny and ridiculous. And I think if you take out the whole interspecies erotica thing, it's pretty decent. But yeah, that part is that always threw me for a loop, and it always will. Well, it's dude, really?
Hopefully.
I did a little research into Howard the Duck in the comic, right? Because I don't know anything about Howard the Duck in the comic. And him and Beverly in the comic were lovers.
Oh boy. So
this movie was actually deviating from the source material and sort of softening it for us. And that leads me to a question, and this is an important question, guys. I want you to give it serious thought.
I hope it's the same question. I hope it's the same question I have. I really do.
So
I have questions too.
Based on the stunning release of information by the DC executives about things heroes don't do, you think Howard gives beak?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. He proved it.
Right? He does, right?
I know he does.
I love it, Tim knows.
I know Howard does. I know it.
Oh man.
No, my question was, if Beverly gets pregnant, does she shoot an egg out of her ass, or does she have a baby?
And ducks biologically have nightmarish corkscrew penises. Does Howard have a nightmarish corkscrew penis, and how does that work?
Absolutely
with a human woman?
He has to have one.
I mean,
and you won't accept it otherwise. You have to have a corkscrew penis.
He must.
Now,
with the open condom that he had in his wallet. Yeah, how about that?
We'll get to it.
Let's talk about that.
I'm gonna go through my notes so we can do beat by beat.
Go ahead.
I just want to make it clear to the audience that you might think it's a bit inappropriate for us to talk about this PG movie in such a sexual manner, except this movie is so weirdly sexual for no reason. And I'm not even talking about the bestiality, but we'll get to it. So
interspecies erotica.
Interspecies erotica
is correct.
You're right. My bad.
Ooh, cake.
So we start off on Howard's planet, which he's from space, and it is just Earth, but with ducks, and lots of duck puns. Everything.
As a kid, I liked the duck puns as a kid. I did. I'm not gonna lie.
Of course, I did too. But we were dumb kids. That's, I mean, and that's great if this were a movie made for dumb kids. But you know what I didn't understand at the time? The sexy parts of it. That was like, I didn't realize that there was interspecies things going on. But yeah,
well, did you blush when you saw the duck bill? Whatever it was called.
Oh my God! Yes, Playbill. I think it was
Playbill, duck, something like that.
You know, it was Play Duck or Playbill or something like that. And again, who said, you know what we need in this this PG movie that's seemingly for kids? We need a bunch of duck titties. And why do ducks have tits? Ducks aren't mammals.
What was that about?
I mean, we see, so Howard is like, he comes home and he's like an 80s baby boomer, right? Which I think is funny because he's like, yeah, I didn't want to be, my parents wanted me to be a doctor and I just wanted to play some rock and roll, man. but he's like, he's sitting down, he's about to, I guess, jerk off to this play duck.
Yeah.
And for reasons, ? Him and only him is targeted by this space laser that drags him through his building, where he goes through a wall of a woman drinking a martini topless, or a duck woman in a bathtub. And again, I don't know why non-mammals have nipples. That's a mammal thing. But anyway, and he's
it's space ducks, though. You got to let something go. They're space ducks. They're not Earth ducks. They're space ducks.
All right. It's just a weird choice that they would go, you know what this movie needs?
You two guys own this thing on Blu-ray, so you guys can definitely take the lead on this one.
And then the first narrated, or the only narration line of the movie, and this sets the movie up. I wrote it down. What was, what is, and what will be began with these words. In the beginning, there was Howard the Duck. What the fuck does that mean?
Nothing.
I mean,
nothing.
And then Howard lands in this like punk dystopia. I think this is what like I don't know who thought the world was like this in the 80s. It looks like that game Cyberpunk that just came out. You got weird punk guys like with big earrings and hair, and like they're bullying him and they're attacking. It's so weird.
Is it that much different than what happened when Arnold landed? When he was strolling around naked and runs into these guys in the first Terminator?
Isn't it? You know, I thought the same thing. I was, why does everybody who comes back in time meets a bunch of punkers who will try to kill you? I was like, what the hell's going on with this world?
Wash day tomorrow. Nothing clean, right?
It's almost the same scene. It's almost the same scene.
Nothing clean, right.
Except you got Arnold, then you got a duck. It's almost the same thing.
And then you got this weird part where, like, so he's running around and like he's afraid of the car, but I'm assuming they have cars in his world because they have Raiders of the Lost Duck and they have all this other, you know, I'm sure it was like a Quaxler or something, but I mean, I'm sure they have cars.
Oh,
I just made
Jason,
that.
I was like, Jason's getting the duck puns ready.
I just made that one up. But so then he hides in an alley and there's just this couple inexplicably making out in this what I assume to be a piss smelling alley, and he just starts feeling the woman's leg up.
Yeah.
Like, this is a PG movie, guys. We had kids there. We were kids there.
I don't know. I wish I had a good answer for you for a lot of these things, but I'm leaning towards you guys for the answers this week.
Oh, you didn't see my name either. You can't see my name.
Oh no, what is it?
Master of Quack Fu.
Master of Quack Fu.
Which I found out from the comic book.
And he actually was a master of Quack Fu?
He was. And in the comic book, he was not from another planet. He was from an alternate dimension, which makes more sense. He's from Earth with ducks.
Yes.
But for whatever reason. Planet Apes. Planet of the Ducks, you know? So then Leah Thompson, we meet her as Beverly, and she's in like an all-girl punk band. Leah Thompson, I was telling this to Eddie last time. Leah Thompson in this movie is one of my, like, I saw this movie when I was like 8 or 9, and it was one of my first moments where I went, you know what, if I knew what being sexually attracted to someone was, this is it. Like, that was me and Leah Thompson in this movie. Because I think, like, when I was a kid, I was just like, I don't know what sex is, but it would be nice with her, I guess. Like, I don't know, share a lollipop or something. I had no idea what the fuck it was. But, I mean, I was feeling those, like, prepubescent things. So,
that's good.
So she
Holly Robinson too. Holly Robinson.
That's
She's
right.
in this, yeah.
That's
She was
right.
good at that. She was good looking too. And I was like, oh, look, it's Hoffs from 21 Jump Street. She looks hot too.
That's right. So she almost gets sexually assaulted by the same. I guess these punk guys, the same ones who harassed Howard. I guess they just stick around looking to harass people, and that's when Howard pulls out his quack foo. Right, exactly.
No one laughs at a master of quack foo.
That's right. And what I love though is that like Howard looks ridiculous, but actually can kick some ass. I actually really like that aspect. So then like we have this moment where he saves her life and she's weirded out he's a duck, and they have this sort of sad walking on the other side of the street moment, which I thought was bizarre. It's like, hey, you want to come home with me? All right.
Picking up a duck.
And so she takes him home. He has a PTSD flashback about being dragged through space, and then he falls asleep. And she goes through his wallet, and Adams, what does she find in his wallet?
An opened tiny condom that I would assume was there for, was he ready to go just at any point? I mean, is that what was going on? But you don't know how condoms work then. If that's what you're thinking. That's not how they work. You just don't have them open laying in your fucking wallet.
Open the condom.
I hate to break it to you. That little condom probably takes away the corkscrew penis thing. Well, it could be a small corkscrew penis, though.
Yeah, there you go. See, I'm still like buying into the corkscrew penis thing.
All right. Hey, we got to do something.
We got to do something.
You got to get it where you can in this movie.
You got to have goals. You got to have goals and hopes.
This wasn't like an 80s trope in these comedies. I remember a couple of movies where like guys with condoms in their wallets, you know, like which I always found weird. Like when I was single, I never had a condom in my wallet. Like I didn't even have money in my wallet.
I did because the guys in the movies did.
Thank you. Yes. But then
I had
no shot it doesn't make sense.
No, but I had no shot at sex at 12, 13 years old. But I got a condom in there just in case.
You know, look, the 80s movies have taught me at any moment a hot woman might stick her foot in my crotch, and then we're going to be having sex, and I need that condom in the wallet.
It's got to be in the wallet. Be in there for 18 years. It doesn't matter. As long as it's in the wallet, you're good to go.
Why is it open, though? That's the part that I'm mind-boggling to me.
I don't know. I don't know. You're right. They don't know how condoms work, apparently, in this movie.
No, apparently not.
Damn sucks.
Then enter the weirdest performance of the movie, Tim Robbins. Academy Award winner Tim Robbins, or Academy Award nominee Tim Robbins, as this weird scientist who's also a janitor.
He's a lab assistant or something.
Who has such wonderful lines as, it's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's a duck. To which I say, isn't a duck a bird?
Yes.
Remember, this came out at the same time as Top Gun, where he played Merlin. So he did Merlin and this idiot the same year.
This was a weird year for Tim Robbins.
Uh-huh.
Hey, listen, Shawshank, Mystic River, Bull Durham, Top Gun, and Howard the Duck, his 5 best movies.
Hold on. When did Bull Durham come out?
Bull Durham, right around the same time, I would think.
Yeah, right?
I think 88, 89, though.
Yeah, it was a little bit after this.
Look, everyone starts somewhere. He had to start with the duck. It's just actors going through their shit.
I don't begrudge him. Even Tim Robbins has to eat. It's just a weird performance.
It's a very weird performance.
And so then like he's really condescending to Howard, like, and wants to run tests on him, whatever. And so then Howard just gets mad, but he gets mad at Leah Thompson, and he storms off and starts about 20 minutes of this movie that needed to be cut out, because then all of a sudden we have Howard going to the unemployment agency and being yelled at. No one questions it. She's like, "Oh, I'm in charge of putting freaks like you into jobs because you're collecting unemployment and don't want to work." And I'm thinking, how did Howard get a Social Security card?
Uh-huh.
How did he get citizenship? Because you have to have that to collect the unemployment, I believe. How does he get the paperwork? Where is he living at this point?
And nobody's questioning it. Nobody's questioning it.
You're thinking way too rationally, Jason. Way too. Because first of all, you put Howard the Duck in the real world, he's dead by the time he walks. He ain't making out of that alley. If you saw a duck like that, would you just be like, hey, it's a walking duck?
No, I would fucking run, and I would never look back. And
you'd kill it.
No, no.
That's our instinct.
Look, me personally, if I saw a giant duck in an alley, I would assume I got stuck in a horror movie, and I have but one recourse if I ever get stuck in a horror movie. I fucking fake my own death, and I leave forever. You'd never hear from me. So if I ever fake my own death, it's because I think I'm stuck in a horror movie, and it's the only way I can survive. But you are correct. Other people might try to kill Howard.
Oh, he'd be dead. He'd be dead.
But like, why does this scene exist?
No, it shouldn't.
And then the job she gets him is in what I like to call the chlamydia castle, because it's this weird, like, sex spa where people are just hooking up and having sex, and he's like the jizz mopper.
That's what I was gonna say. He's a jizz mopper.
Again, this is a PG movie, guys.
And now, again, how did this get past ultra conservative George Lucas?
Oh no!
He's like, listen, the duck's he's gonna have a condom. We're gonna see duck titties. We're gonna have duck porn, interspecies erotica. And George Lucas is like, all right, I just made Return of the Jedi. I'm good. I'm done. Indiana Jones coming out now. I'm done. Here we go.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, you failed to answer the one question I asked. How much money is in it for me?
Exactly.
That's true too. That's true too.
Because I'm sure he has no real understanding of comic books and what made them tick. He's, because Star Wars is not a comic book thing. Star Wars is based off of the old 50s, 60s serials, So that's his frame of reference. So I'm sure that he was just like, well, I did Star Wars, and what people liked about Star Wars was the cute characters and the edgy characters. So I'm going to get Howard the Duck, and we're going to do a comic book movie like that, But again, that's not what people go to see these movies for.
Yeah.
But how is Howard okay, but the Star Wars Christmas special is not? Holiday special, excuse me. I almost said the C word. Yeah, I almost said the C word. I almost offended a bunch of people. How does the Star Wars holiday special bad? Howard duck sex condom porn good? I don't know. I never understood that. Never understood that.
I don't know. I don't get a lot of things about this movie.
No. But you guys own it. I'm just letting I just want to remind that.
My son discovered this movie 3 or 4 years ago on cable. He absolutely loved it. We were in Walmart. He picked it up. Said, "Daddy," I said, "Yes, I will get it for you for $5. No problem." And like I said, I did enjoy it as a kid. I will fully admit it. I will own up to it. And I'm not going to lie. I don't mind watching it right now. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and be like, "Holy shit, this is fantastic." Like you said, Jason, there's a whole part where I'll be like, "All right, I'm going to fast forward to this crap. At least get to the couple funny parts that are in it, or whatever." I thought the diner scene was very funny.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to it. I got a lot to talk about. That
I have a lot of questions about the diner.
I'm not saying it's a masterpiece.
No.
It has some
a lot of
funny
questions
parts
about a sushi diner like that.
That's my question too. But let's be clear. I bought this for me. All right, my son wasn't even born yet. I wouldn't let my son watch this smutty piece of filth at his age. All right, I bought this because I was going to see a podcast that makes fun of bad movies with my wife. She doesn't really like bad movies, but she was going to go see it, and she went, "Well, we got to watch it." And so, of course, I didn't even bother looking to stream it. I went, "Oh, it's like $5 on Amazon. I'll pay $5 to own Howard the Duck on Blu-ray." So like. And all the shit I'm talking about it, let's cut to the end here. Hard recommend. If you were listening to this, go watch this movie. All right?
I can't say that. I'm sorry, I can't say that.
That's fine. The world don't move to the beat of just one drum.
This is true. If you like it, that's all good.
Everyone's allowed to like at least 5 really bad movies. At minimum 5.
I agree. And again, like if I saw this as an adult, I'd probably hate it. But I have the ability to go nostalgia. Ooh, I remember that as a kid. So that's also a different way.
That's why I like it, because I was a kid when I saw it. It's a duck running around. Like I said, the duck had sex. That's awesome.
And
Catchy song at the end. I thought the alien was cool, and
Yeah.
that's it.
And this is a good looking movie. Like, this isn't like low budget. I think the duck suit looks good. The effects at the end with the alien, we'll get to it, but I think that looks good. So it's also not a terrible looking movie.
No, it's not at all. You can tell it's a legit, big budget Hollywood movie that you still want. You asked the questions earlier. We went through Captain America, which was released 4 years after this. Punisher, which was released direct to video 3 years after this, which is mind-boggling because it starred Dolph Lundgren, who was already Drago at that point, and He-Man at that point, but yet Punisher is direct to video. A Fantastic Four movie that was made for no one to ever see.
I wonder if this movie is the reason that happened. Like, that they put all their eggs in one basket, and I meant that pun, motherfucker.
Quack quack.
Right? but so they put this money into this, and it didn't do so well because it's terrible. And I wonder if they went, oh no, well, you just can't adapt these comic book movies it's not going to make any money, not realizing that they chose the exact wrong property to do this with.
And let's not forget, because we did remind you guys last week, this era that we're covering right now of pre-MCU Marvel movies, we were in a bizarre world of what we live in right now, because Warner Brothers and DC were the ones who were fucking rocking the shit out of everything. With Tim Burton's Batman eventually a couple of years later, Christopher Reeve's Superman. I know Tim is thinking right now, was Superman 3 out yet at this time in 1986?
This was a dark. This was a dark time for even DC at this point. This was pre-Batman.
Oh yeah,
it's pre-Batman.
Pre-Batman.
This is post Superman 3 and 4.
Okay.
And pre-Batman. So this is a dark time for comic book movies.
So comic book movies are in the toilet in 1986.
Yes. Yes. Definitely.
Frank Miller is saving them in the comics because he's coming out with Batman Year One and things of that, and Dark Knight Returns and stuff.
Yep, yeah, exactly. So go ahead.
All right, so Howard gets off the bus. I don't know where he's going because I don't know where he's living. He's quit his job at Chlamydia Castle, and he starts seeing duck hunting season advertisements and runs to the club where Leah Thompson is playing, not realizing he's going there. I really actually, as a kid, loved this scene. It was one of my favorite scenes in the movie, which the band has this slimy, sociopathic manager who's not paying them and trying to sleep with them all. And Howard kicks the shit out of him and takes an ice pick. And I'll never forget this. He's got this big hoop earring, and he takes an ice pick and he rams it through the earring hole. And he's like, he leaves him lying there like this. So I really appreciated that as a kid, and I enjoyed watching it again this time. And then he becomes their manager and gets their money, and he's reunited with Beverly.
Wait, let me ask Ed one quick question though. Eddie, a question.
Yeah.
Take out the duck boobs, the duck porn, the interspecies erotica, the Chlamydia Castle, as you call it, Jason. Take all that stuff out. Now you got a hour and 10-minute movie? How long is this movie even?
This movie is almost 2 hours.
It's 2 hours, and I couldn't believe it.
All right, so let's say it's an hour and a half now. Okay. Do you think in your mind it would play? I'm not saying it's going to be a fucking masterpiece, but you think it would play a little differently if it was like, listen, this is a fucking movie about a duck, and this is it in our world, but minus all the sex and all that crazy shit. You think you would at least enjoy it a little better? Or is the interspecies erotica really getting on you?
I'm going to tell you, it's really hard for me to erase all the stuff that we just mentioned because that's the first half of the movie. It's all focused on that. So by the time you get to the rest of it, all right. So the thing is, my experience with this movie is a little bit different from you guys because I honestly don't. I saw it as a kid, I'm sure on HBO or something, but I don't really remember much of it. So when I watched it now as an adult, I watched it on Peacock because they're streaming it for free with commercials. I told Jason this. I needed the commercials. I needed a minute or two to like walk around and to do something else. I just thought the movie was honestly really boring. A lot of it was just really objectionably speaking a lot. I just think it's just boring. I knew I was walking into a bad movie, so I had some fun with some of it and certain scenes. But there's just a lot of things that were just so head-scratching about this thing. And the biggest thing I always wondered was, who is this movie made for? Like Jason had said. Is it for kids?
Exactly.
Is it for adults? It's not for
I think
either.
it was kids going through puberty. It had to be.
I think it was written. I feel like it was written by somebody in high school because they
It's true.
apparently didn't know
Yeah.
how a condom worked. Number one.
And it's like, can I get Leah Thompson in her underwear?
How do
Write it
I
down.
do that? Exactly.
Write it down. Yeah,
Wait.
write it down.
Wait, she wants to bang the duck.
And
There we go. That's how we
an-
get her.
As far as
Genius.
Leah Thompson goes, that's an over sexual scene with her bending,
No.
pretty much
And-
sticking her ass out there,
Yes.
like, hey,
Yes.
here we are.
That's the scene that sort of gave me that little prepubescent sexual awakening where I was like, oh, wow, what is this?
Yeah.
Please don't ever tell your wife that, Jason.
I probably
shit,
already
well,
have.
it's already out there in the universe.
Oh
now.
no! My
What's
wife
the-
doesn't
what-
watch this show. My wife doesn't watch this show. Get out of here.
Okay.
Comic books, no.
Well, most of the time, boys will stumble across, pornography. Like, oh, that awakened me to nope, it's Howard the Duck
Yeah.
for Jason.
For me, it's when Leah Thompson decided she was ready to get down and dirty with a duck. That's when Jason and Fischetic goes, say.
Hey now.
Tim, I want to address. I think that's a great question you ask, and I don't know if it's a better movie, but I think it plays better because you take all the sex stuff out and you take the weird adult overtones out, and you have a movie for kids. And
For a kid, yeah.
I don't know if we would enjoy it more, but it would then at least be for kids. And I could go, I didn't necessarily like it when I was an adult, but it was for kids. It wasn't for me.
Yeah, exactly. I can agree with that. I think if they just decided one way or the other where you're going to go with this, if you're going to go with like weird adolescent comedy that's just like goofy like that, then go all in with that. But I feel like they just jumped back and forth. If they made it a kids movie, then it would have been like, fine, it's a kids movie.
Right.
Take out a lot of this crap. And then, I you know something, Tim, I'll take that back. It probably does. It probably plays better as a kids movie if you erase all that shit.
Yeah.
Right. Or lean into satire and make it smart and make it like a racy adult movie. But like, I think the fact is they wanted to court both audiences. And when you do that, you lose both. Like,
You lose,
because
yeah, exactly.
who's going to let their kid watch this, in the theater once you know what
How
it
did
is?
how did your parents let you? How did mine let me watch it?
Oh, because my parents didn't give a shit. That's why.
mine
let
were
me
like,
tell you
it's a
something.
movie about a duck? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
The Star Wars guy made a movie about a duck? Go ahead. No
Let me tell you
problem.
something. My stepfather's thing was, don't tell your mother, I don't care what you do. And I remember being 5 watching an unedited Revenge of the Nerds because my stepfather was watching it. And you anyone who's seen Revenge of the Nerds, there's like vagina in that movie. I shouldn't have been. How did I watch it? But I did. So that's how I watched it.
Dude, at this point, I was watching Nightmare on Elm Street, RoboCop, whatever the hell else was going on. And by the time I saw this, I saw way too much past that.
I said to my mother, I swear to God, I had this conversation with her maybe about a year ago because we were discussing what my son could watch, what he can't watch, because he doesn't do good with horror yet.
Okay.
Well, then he did not the time. Now he's okay. Then he didn't do good with horror. And I'm like, wow, that's really weird because I said 84, I'm watching Elm Street. I already watched the first 3 Friday the 13th that have come out. I watched The Goddamn Exorcist, which I probably shouldn't have because it haunts me to this very day. But yeah, I asked my mother, I said, did you ever regulate what I watch? He goes, no. I just know you. I know you as a kid. If you didn't like it, you wouldn't watch it. Or if it was going to affect you, I was like, all right. I don't know if that's responsible or if you just know me well enough to understand. Because I never got scared of Freddy Krueger. I never got scared of Michael Myers. Well, Michael Myers freaked me out a little bit. But I never got scared of none of that shit. And the over-sexual, if there was a sex scene and you're sitting there with your parents, you do one of these.
Get this.
Oh, yeah.
You get this.
You get this. But that's all right. Other than that, yeah, I mean, I let Jax watch this movie 2 years ago. The sex stuff, right over his head. Doesn't understand a fucking. Well, now he might.
Yeah.
But didn't understand. Didn't understand 2 years ago. Didn't understand any of it. He just liked the fact that Howard beat people up and talked funny and did crazy shit. So that's why I bought it for him. Like you said though, now I don't. Now he's a teenager. Yeah. Well, getting to be a teenager now. I don't want him watching Leah Thompson and getting all excited.
Isn't it funny how that works? Parents are like, listen, nudity, no. Someone's throwing up blood all over a ceiling and everything like that. Johnny Depp gets thrown up in the ceiling. That's okay.
That's fine.
Yeah,
it's just a little blood, a little gore.
Yeah, that's not a big deal.
And so, speaking of monsters that appear into movies, we are at 44 minutes when Jeffrey Jones shows up, the antagonist of the movie, real life monster Jeffrey Jones.
Yes.
Rooney.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Sorry,
Breaks
Phyllis. I think you're wrong. Oh, that sucks, man. He was good.
I know. And I actually think he's good in this movie too. I think he's actually the best actor in this movie.
He is.
He was good.
We got a comment, by the way, here, Tim. You might know. I'm not sure. I haven't seen this person join our show yet. Mustang Car saying, "Oi,
Oi,
oi,
oi." No, sorry, I don't know the reference.
I don't know what that is.
Oh,
but thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
We appreciate it. I hope you're watched Howard the Duck or Loki or whatever the hell CW verse show you're digging to, man. Thanks for the support.
New people are always good.
Yeah, bring it.
So real life monster Jeffrey Jones shows up. It's 44 minutes, and the movie finally begins. Because this is what the movie's about. Like, it is. Like, this is what the movie's about. Jeffrey Jones is the scientist that was playing around with the laser that got Howard here. There's this convoluted way of knowing it through, like, the feathers that he found and Tim Robbins took and whatever. It's stupid. But so they decide to go back to the lab and redo the experiment so Howard could go home. But in doing that, real life monster Jeffrey Jones, I think I'm just going to call him that the entire thing. He uses the thing again, and he grabs this like demon alien creature called a Dark Overlord, and it like takes over his body. Now these things are actually in the comic as well. These are like Howard the Duck villains in the comic.
Oh, okay. Comics accurate.
So it is comics accurate. And so he takes over the Jennings, which is the character's body, and that's when the real like good Jeffrey Jones acting starts, because he's literally like falling apart and transforming through the rest of the movie, and he's talking like this.
Yeah, I liked him a lot. I think he's probably the best part of the whole movie.
Yeah, no, me too. But then then the laser explodes and cops show up and think Howard did it, and they try to arrest him after stripping him down to his underwear and trying to unzip his costume.
Yep.
Again, we're kids here. What are we doing here?
I don't know.
It's and he's all shaking and scared and shit. Yeah. I don't know. It was pretty rough.
It really was. And then of course, because you can't have an 80s children's movie without some gay panic humor, there is the line, "Oh, he's changed? Great. Like a sex change or something?" Yep.
Yep. That's another cringeworthy line.
It's like, come on, again, in my children's movie.
Jesus.
So then they escape. Who cares how? It's Howard the Duck. They escape. Leah Thompson, Jeffrey Jones, and Howard the Duck go on the road, and then they get to and Eddie, I'll let you walk us through this one because you wanted to talk about it. The Japanese sushi diner, the roadside Japanese sushi diner.
Now I've been to some states and some places and elsewhere, and I'm someone who digs sushi also, and I like Cajun food. Mm-hmm. Where the fuck is a Cajun sushi place that looks like a diner? And why did they go in? And she's like, "Oh yeah, let us get 3 specials." She doesn't look at the menu. Let me get 3 specials. She just gives them like breakfast. They bring them breakfast. That's what a special is in a Cajun sushi joint.
Breakfast.
Which I was trying to figure out what was going on in a Cajun sushi joint the entire time. It was a diner. Why did you need to call it a Cajun sushi? What was the point of that whole thing? It was just dumb. It made absolutely no sense.
It was so strange. And throughout this whole thing, Jennings is transforming, and he's literally saying things like, "I'm going to murder you all in 20 minutes." And they're just like, "Oh, it looks like he's got a bit of acid. Let's get this man something to eat." It's like, guys, you can't tell me you don't believe in aliens. Fucking Howard's an alien.
And he's right next to him. It was almost like RoboCop 2 dumb level of people in this scene.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Who I will always say the dumbest people on the planet. Everyone in RoboCop 2, except Murphy, is an idiot.
I said, and meanwhile, this is probably the favorite scene in the whole movie because I liked the transformation. he cracked me as a kid. He cracked me up every time he said something.
Oh no!
Every time he did something, he reminded me of what's his name too from Men in Black when he did his full transformation. Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yes.
Like that kind of thing. I crack up every time I watch that dude do that fucking scene. So I think it's great. But yeah, as far as the diner goes, I don't know.
I just had a lot of questions.
And then they're sitting there eating. So she brings the specials, and it's breakfast, which means, guess what? It's eggs. And Howard goes, what do you think? I'm a cannibal? Get this out of here. Well, read the fucking menu, buddy. But anyway.
Nobody read the menu. Nobody.
Right.
She just says, give us 3 specials.
Like, okay, so she takes that away, and then some good old boys walk over and just to start shit with Howard for no reason. No one's bothering them. Like, because I'll tell you this. I see a sentient duck appear in an alley. I assume I'm in a horror movie and I'm running. I see a duck and a cute girl and a crazy old codger walk into a diner like they belong there. I'm like, look, I'm a New Yorker. I'm like, oh God, is it Tuesday again? Like, why are you bothering these guys? So then this.
So, but see, I think that's the most realistic part of the movie.
So I do. So if you would you go up to a duck person in a diner?
I wouldn't, but I'm saying the PS people out there
Okay.
that would have no choice because their brains don't fucking work that way.
Fair enough.
It's just, it's the same reason you might pick on anybody for any reason, but there's some people out there be like, oh my God, that's a walking, talking duck with a hot chick. That ain't right.
Okay,
I gotta mess with the duck.
Fair enough. I'll give you that. But they legit try to kill him. Like, everyone in the diner, not just the good old boys. And you have, like, the sushi chef in the sushi diner, and you see, like, the duck hanging up in the background. He grabs his knife, and they're, like, here's the thing. All right, I see them maybe trying to start shit, but, like, everyone just tries to murder this obviously intelligent, sentient being?
Yeah.
What hellscape does this movie take place in?
Yeah.
But truly funny part of the movie is when Leah Thompson's trying to get Jennings to intercede, and she's like, they're going to kill him. He's my favorite duck. And he's got 2 great lines in this moment. He goes, you hardly even know him. And it's that's a good point, actually. She did just meet him.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then she's like, aren't you going to do something? And he just looks really forlorn at the table, and he goes, she took my eggs.
I told you, that's my favorite scene. That is my favorite scene in the whole movie. It is. The whole scene.
So Jennings then wrecks house on everyone using his powers because the thing is, like, he needs to get this key card to activate the laser, because his plan, which he has been telling everyone who will listen since he's gotten in this body, is to bring every other overlord over to the planet. They have to take over a host in order to gradually be accepted into the atmosphere, which I thought that was kind of interesting. So then he gets the key card, saves Howard, gets the key card, kidnaps Leah Thompson, and takes off. And then, Tim Robbins shows up again. Tim Robbins and Howard the Duck steal an aeroplane.
Yeah.
Why not?
To which Howard says, if God intended ducks to fly, he wouldn't have taken our wings.
That's a big quote on this planet.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and so then there's a 20-minute flight sequence. I mean, I'm exagerating, but it was really long.
Minutes. It felt like 20 minutes.
It felt like it. It felt like it.
Really, really long. And then they land, and Howard then, I don't know, tracks them. Now I'm going to fast track it because now it's I must have gotten bored with the notes. Maybe. But so Howard the Duck was to save Leah Thompson, and he does. And then the Dark Overlord comes out of Jennings' body. And again, it's stop motion. I think it's really good stop motion. Yeah. It's kind of a terrifying looking creature. And Howard is left with the choice of saving planet Earth by destroying the laser, or using the laser to go home and say, fuck off Earth. I would have went home, and I'm from Earth. You know what I mean here? But Howard does the right thing. He destroys the laser, and now he's here forever. And now he's the manager of Leah Thompson and her band. And I guess Tim Robbins is a roadie. And
I don't know what happened there.
Now, again, serious question. Him and Leah Thompson they're sleeping together by the end of this movie, right? They are romantically together by the end of this movie.
So about Howard or Tim Robbins?
Howard. No, Howard.
I would assume Howard.
They're together, right? Because she writes a song for him.
Yes.
She writes a song called Howard the Duck about Howard the Duck.
That's the ultimate proof that they're sleeping together.
It's gotta be, right?
By the way, that song, I'm not gonna lie, I went 80s, and I held the radio up to the TV so I could put that song on a tape and listen to it. I dug the song. I'm not gonna lie, I dug the song back in the day.
That song was supposed to open our show tonight, but then we decided to shift gears at the last.
We needed a hero. We needed a hero.
We needed a hero instead.
I needed a hero. Yeah, yes. I figured that.
When I was a kid, I would become obsessed with certain songs in movies, and this was one of them. Where I would I would literally just watch that scene over and over again. Another movie for me like that was Little Shop of Horrors. There were like 4 songs where I wouldn't even watch the whole movie. I just watched the 4 songs over and over again.
Dude, I recorded Maverick and Goose singing "You've Lost That Love and Feeling" instead of actually listening to the original goddamn song.
That's great.
1986. Tim is stupid, but no, I like the original song better, of course.
Of course, but you want to relive the moment of the movie. It's exciting, It brings you back there to hear them sing it.
But I have a theory, by the way, why Howard didn't go back.
What's that?
And that's Leah Thompson. He had him some human poon. He's like, I ain't going back. I ain't going back to that duck stuff. This human stuff is all right. So
I have tasted the forbidden fruit, and I shan't go back.
Exactly. You can't go back to no duck poon after that. Are you kidding?
So that's Howard the Duck. That's our movie, ladies and gentlemen. Again, the movie starts at 44. It lasts about a half an hour, 20 minutes of which is a chase in a plane. It's a terrible movie, but again, full recommend. Go watch it right now. Right now.
I'll lend it to you.
Or you can go, if you got to get a free subscription of Peacock like I do. I do not have the paid version with ads, and you can watch it for free if you want.
But I have the full version, and I still get ads for some of the for what the fuck is that about?
That's not right.
Some of them you still get the ads.
I think Peacock has like 5 different levels of it. It's so fucking weird. I think I
got the maximum level because I wanted the WWE network, the WWE shit.
Oh,
I got full Peacock. I got full, and I went to watch a movie a day, and I got fucking I went full cock, and then I went, and then like, oh, this movie's being shown with ads. I'm like, well, that's not full cock, that's half cock because I want fucking no commercials.
Oh, man. So, did you watch Saved by the Bell yet?
Did I finish Saved by the Bell? I don't think I finished it. I did watch like most of it though. I think I finished the last episode or 2.
Okay. I will talk about it after you're done. I liked it. I liked the reboot of Saved by the Bell. All right, so I guess that's pretty much that's it for this week. Tim, thanks for popping in.
Great seeing you, Tim. I didn't expect it.
This is OG Granny's Peach Tea right here. This is the original 3 who did the voice only one.
I'm sorry I missed. I was upstate. I missed fucking Nick Fury. I wish I would have been there for that one.
Here's the thing. It's for the best because as a result of hassling the Hoff, Eddie and I got very, very sick. It's why I'm atoning. I don't know if you saw the beginning of this show, but I am going back and doing a deep rewatch or a deep watch of Baywatch Nights so I can talk about how great David Hasselhoff is on this show because we hassled the Hoff. We poked a bear and we got mauled, my friend. So it's best you didn't.
Baywatch. Why Nights? Why not just watch regular Baywatch?
Because honestly, because I've always been kind of curious about Baywatch Nights because from what I understand, it starts out as a very dry detective story, and by the end they're fighting like aliens and monsters and shit. So I really want to see how crazy it goes.
It's crazy, that show. I think I watched maybe 2, and I was like, I no, never again, never ever again.
So I'm going to continue our atonement of this, because we're going to have a closing song in 2 seconds.
Oh,
but
nice.
so there is that. But we'll be back. We're going to confirm. We're aiming for next Friday to come back because we're going to be off our Wednesday slot because Jason and I got some stuff going on. Hopefully Tony will come back. If Tony's not, or Tim, you want to come and check it out next week. Jason, what movie do we want to do? We're kind of the 70s Spider-Man and Captain America not available for free on YouTube.
Oh,
and I don't know if we're gonna pay for them.
No, I'm not paying.
Do that to us. Yeah,
I'm not paying for that.
I kind of think it's time for Blade.
Ooh,
I think it's time for Blade. I think we do this now.
Hell yeah! Oh yeah, let's get into it because now we get into Blade and now we get into
Spider-Man and X-Men and Daredevil.
And Fantastic Four and Ghost Rider. Yeah, let's do it. And Blade, look,
I love Blade.
I mean, Blade's a great movie.
I love Blade, and I know Tim loves Blade also. So
I'm all for. I'm all for Blade. Let's do it.
all right, so that's it. Next week's movie is settled. But
Well, I'll bring my Wesley Snipes action figure. I have a Blade Wesley Snipes action figure. I'll bring it on.
Nice.
I wonder what that is. So as we sign off, we're gonna have our song here. So thank you for joining us. Sign up for popculturepros.com, wherever you might find it, on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter. Come check it out. Follow us. Check out all the great shows that are on. You got A to Z on Sundays. Tim is on with Eric. They got Just Too Sweet show going. You also got Put It in the Books if you're a Mets fan. You got Empire 161 if you're a Yankees or Star Wars fan. That's Tim and I. We do our show. And then that's pretty much. And then, also Jada and Kyle do their movies. I know they just had their 50th episode. Congrats to them again.
Cheers, guys.
They continue to do an awesome job. And Four Quarters show with Dave, and they'll be around at some point. I know they seem to pop in and out. So this is part of Atonement. So this is for our beloved David Hasselhoff. So thanks for everyone. Have a safe night and have a safe weekend. We'll see you guys next week. And enjoy it, man. And by the way, to you guys, happy Father's Day to both of you
thank
guys.
you.
Saying in
Appreciate
advance. All right? Take it easy, man. And Baywatch Nights. Check it out with Jason.
Don't.